Brian, this will make a lot of our viewers happy because I don't know if you're in on the secret here, but the first fan base that really took to Southeastern 14, and they have been here ever since, and that is the Hogs. The Arkansas fans are here, and they are ready for your over pick for the Hogs here. 6.5 wins, what it set out for Arkansas heading into the season. We've talked a lot this summer, just about kind of a team with two different new coordinators on each side. Both bring obviously a lot of things, and I think just given the personnel that will really help the Razorbacks, specifically that duo, KJ Jefferson, Rocket Sanders, got some good players on the defensive side. So I'm with you here. I think over 6.5. We really like Arkansas, I think, here. We've talked about them a lot this summer. So,
Yeah, well, I'm right there with you guys, and I think a lot of people forget how close they were to having a big season last year. I mean,
yeah.
they lost 4 games by 9 combined points. Had no business losing that game against A&M. Obviously, the fumble by Jefferson was a 13-point swing. I say that because A&M missed that extra point, and then if they're playing at a college stadium, that field goal by Cam Little would have been good late,
Yeah.
late
Right.
because of the 5 feet higher and hit the. I don't know that I've ever seen a ball hit the top,
I know.
literally the top of the
Yeah.
crossbar. I don't think. I mean, the
Don't
geometry.
remind them. Don't remind
Right,
them.
right. Yeah, that was a tough one for me as well. I had a little bit at +2.5 that I got early in the week, but I also had some that pushed and a little money line. But anyhow, let's forget that one. But I said the 4 losses by 9 combined, excuse me, and then KJ didn't play. I mean, they've had their best defensive effort against LSU, 13-10 loss. If KJ's playing, they're going to get to
Yeah.
14 in that game. So they had some misfortune last year. But look, I love what Pittman did. Not only retooling the talent on the defensive side of the ball, but guys that have played a ton of football. I mean, Trajan Jeffcoat, 29 career starts at Missouri. John Morgan, 14 career sacks at Pitt, where they've got one of the best defensive line coaches in the country, where he's been the last either 4 years, maybe even 5. I'm not sure if he's a super COVID senior, but Morgan's played a lot of football. Keevy Rose, defensive tackle, 32 career starts at La Tech. Al Walcott, 20 career starts for Dave Aranda in his secondary at Baylor, and LaRondo Johnson at corner, 13 career starts at Baylor. And then, Jaheim Thomas, 93 tackles the last 2 years at Cincinnati. So they've added guys that have played a lot of football. Dwight McGlothern, one of the best cover corners in the SEC. And as you noted, KJ and Rocket Sanders might be certainly in the top 3 or 4 of 1-2 QB running back combos in the country. And so, I get the wide receiver position being a bit of concern. I know they've got a lot of optimism for the 4-star transfer from Bowling Green, Tyrone Broden, who had a big season for the Falcons, who shockingly got to a bowl game last year. And they also have the D2 transfer, um, Jaden, no, not Jaden Wilson, Isaac. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that last name, but he's got a lot of experience at the D2 level and is a big 6'4" target. And they also got a tight end that was first team All Conference USA at North Texas last year. So some new pieces, but seemingly pretty talented guys for KJ to target. And I mean, Rocket Sanders might be the best running back in the country, and you can also throw it to him. So the schedule's always half the battle. And I think you look at the Razorback schedule, and especially the way they handled BYU in what was a tough spot last year. They had already traveled 2 of the 3 previous weeks, and then they had to go out into altitude, and they just smashed BYU that game. And so I think you got to give them the W at home to BYU. So I think they win the first 3. I think they win the last 3, which are at home to Auburn, FIU, and Missouri. And so there's 6 right there. Now the middle of that schedule is so brutal. I mean, that
Yeah.
is just a murderer's stretch at LSU, A&M and Arlington, at Ole Miss, and at Alabama. So I mean, they got to get on an airplane 4 Fridays in a row. And then at the tail end of that, when they're finally back at home for Mississippi State, they're going to be, kind of beat up coming off that stretch. And Mississippi State's got 2 weeks to prepare. Now, they do get an advantageous spot, however, at Florida because the Gators will be in letdown mode, having played Georgia the week before and maybe
Yeah.
a little beat up physically, whereas Arkansas has 2 weeks to prepare. So, assuming they get that first three, the last three, okay, I think they can win against A&M, although they are a 3-point underdog in games of the year. They can certainly beat Mississippi State at home and will be favored in that game, barring a rash of injuries or KJ hurt, what have you. And I'm way down on my Gators. I certainly think that they can win at Florida. And so let's say they slip up in one of the first three or last three, which I guess we'd probably say maybe Auburn at home
Yeah.
would be probably that toughest. Even if they slip up there, and so that gives us 5 wins out of the first three, last three. I think they beat Mississippi State at home. That's 6. So then they just got to split out of the A&M and at Florida to get to 7. And hey, um, I'm not saying at Ole Miss is a guaranteed loss. I mean, they beat Ole Miss by 15 last year. They had that epic game 2 years ago in Oxford where they went for too late and didn't get it and lost 52-51. So I'm real confident in Arkansas to get to at least 7 wins, and I won't be surprised. Um, you know, if in fact, I think they have an 8-win season and maybe catch a break here or there, could get to 9. We'll see. But a big year for Sam Pittman because he kind of overachieved the first 2 years, and then last year maybe kind of underachieved a little bit, lost the close games. So, but I know they love him there. I'm not implying he's on the
Yeah.
hot seat, but it'd be nice to. And he's doing recruiting. He's recruiting well for 2024. So, I feel good about the Hogs this year.
Well, and what's interesting too, you talk about this like their schedule. What I find interesting about it, and we go back to last year's schedule, everybody's like, "My goodness, what a brutal schedule!" You think about what it was last year. I feel like this year, their last 4 SEC games: Mississippi State, Florida, Auburn, Missouri. I feel like, at least to me, there is such a wide variety of outcomes with those 4 teams
Yeah.
specifically. And you talked about it, like with Florida and Mississippi State. It's a year of transition there, even though Zach Arnett's been there, but new offense, those kind of things. Auburn, do they have the personnel to really make a huge push in Hugh Freeze's first season? Missouri's got the defense. Do they have the offense? So, like, there's just so many fascinating questions, I think, with those 4 teams. So, like you said, if you just get off to a good start in your Arkansas, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of potential to pick up a lot of wins. And so